Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something big, something huge actually. We're on a journey to explore humanity's oldest and maybe most profound question. Seriously, what happens after we die? It's the question, right? It's probably bounced around your head a million times, just like it has for every single person who's ever lived. It really is the ultimate mystery. And for literally thousands of years, we've been trying to answer it by drawing maps. Maps of this undiscovered country. These aren't just simple stories. They are intricate charts, born from our deepest hopes, our worst fears, and our ideas of what's fair. The amazing thing is, each one tells us so much about the people who drew it. So, you ready? Let's get into it.
All right, let's rewind the clock, way back. We're starting our journey in the ancient world, where the very first, really detailed blueprints for what lies beyond were drafted.
You've got the Egyptians with their incredibly complex rituals, the Mesopotamians with this kind of gloomy view of a dusty underworld. These were the foundational ideas for pretty much everything that came later. They were the original map makers of the soul, and you can still see their influence today.
For the Egyptians, this was serious business. The afterlife wasn't just something you floated into, it was a dangerous journey, and you needed a guide, the Book of the Dead. But it all came down to this one incredibly dramatic moment, the weighing of the heart. I mean, think about that. Your heart, on a scale, being weighed against a single feather of truth. This is one of the very first times we see this powerful idea of a final moral judgment, that how you lived your life directly decides what happens next. That's a game changer. Now, just next door in Mesopotamia, the view was, well, a whole lot bleaker. Forget judgment, forget paradise. They believed in a place called Kurnugi, the land of no return. And it didn't matter who you were, a king, a peasant, a saint, or a sinner. Everyone ended up in the same place, an eternity as a dusty, shadowy version of yourself. Pretty grim, right? So as time goes on, you can see these early ideas start to split off onto two main highways. Two big-picture models for the soul's journey. It's like a massive fork in the road. On one side, the linear path. You get one life, one final judgment, and then one eternal destination. On the other side, you've got the cyclical path, this endless wheel of rebirth where your actions keep you spinning. Let's start by heading down that first road, the linear path. So this path, one life, one shot, became the core belief for the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The basic idea is that your time here on Earth is a test, a single, one-time test with permanent, eternal consequences.
What's really interesting is that in the beginning, the early Hebrew idea of the afterlife wasn't heaven or hell. It was a place called Sheol. And honestly, it sounds a lot like that Mesopotamian underworld we just talked about. A quiet, neutral realm of shadows. Everybody went there, good or bad. No rewards, no punishments, just this silent existence.
But yeah, that idea did not stay that way. Over hundreds of years, and with influences from other cultures like the Greek concept of Tartarus and a lot of theological debate, that neutral, shadowy pit of Sheol morphed. It completely transformed into what many now think of as hell. Not just a quiet place, but a place of active, eternal punishment. That is a huge shift in the map of the afterlife.
Okay, let's switch gears and look at that other path, the cyclical one. This is the map drawn by Eastern traditions like Hinduism and Buddhism, and it paints a totally different picture of what's going on after we die. The engine driving this whole thing is karma, and it's really important to get this right. Karma isn't some cosmic judge with a clipboard deciding your fate. It's more like a natural law, like gravity, but for morality. Every single thing you do, every intention you have, creates a ripple effect that shapes your future, including the circumstances of your very next life. And this law of karma is what keeps souls locked into samsara, this never-ending wheel of existence. Here's the key, though. From this point of view, being reborn is not the prize. It's actually part of the problem. It's a continuation of the suffering and craving that the soul is ultimately trying to break free from. And that right there is the whole point. In these traditions, the goal isn't to get a better seat on the Ferris wheel next time around. The goal is to get off the ride completely. The grand prize is what's called moksha in Hinduism or nirvana in Buddhism, total liberation from the cycle, forever, freedom.
Okay, so we've looked at the ancient maps, the two big paths they created. But what about now? In our super scientific modern world, has this question just gone away? Not a chance.
It's just showing up in new, really surprising ways.
Probably one of the most fascinating modern twists in all of this is the near-death experience, or NDE. And look, we're not talking about a few stories here and there. We are talking about millions of people all over the world from all kinds of backgrounds who have been declared clinically dead and then come back with incredible stories to tell.
And here's what's so wild about it: their consistency. You could talk to someone from America or India or Japan, and their stories often have these same striking features. That feeling of incredible peace, the sense of leaving your body, moving through a tunnel towards this brilliant light, seeing your whole life flash before your eyes. It's remarkable.
Now, of course, science has ideas about what might be happening in the brain to cause these experiences, but regardless of the explanation, you can't deny their power. For millions, NDEs have created a new kind of personal map for the afterlife, one that sits right at this amazing crossroads of spirituality, psychology, and medicine.
So at the end of the day, what does all this tell us? When you step back and look at all these different maps, the Egyptian field of reeds, the Buddhist goal of nirvana, that modern tunnel of light, you start to see the same universal human needs shining through. We all search for hope. We all long for some kind of cosmic justice. And we all need to feel that our lives have meaning.
And that really brings us to the final, most important question, doesn't it? Maybe drawing these maps of the next life isn't really about figuring out what happens when we die. Maybe it's about giving ourselves a blueprint for how to live, right here, right now. Because what we believe makes a good eternity says everything about what we should value in this life.